Hello, my name is Edwin Desmore, and welcome to the Domino Dialogues, where the stage is the domino table. The holidays are here. They're amongst us, and today we'll be talking about Thanksgiving at the Puerto Rican table, traditions, laughter, memories, what goes on, what happens behind scenes in the house when families are together. Today's guests, we have Chef Ana. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And also we have Priscilla.
Thank you for inviting me.
So let's get this started. Grab your hands, get ready to have a great conversation, and get ready to lose.
Yeah. We'll see about that. Right.
Double six.
Boom. Got it.
Since you came out with the double six, we're going to start off with you, Ana.
All right.
Just a little bit about yourself, where you were born, where you were raised.
So my name is Ana, Chef Ana. I'm from North Philly. I was born and raised in Lawrence, Indiana. That's where I originated from. I am now a chef instructor. I work with an organization called Wellness in the Schools. And then I also have Chef Ana's Kitchen, where I do Puerto Rican food and I also do classics.
I want to jump straight to something right away. We're going to learn a little bit more about you, but I want to put something out there because you are the daughter of a legend in the neighborhood. And before I mention this legend in the neighborhood, I want to give a scenario to folks, and hopefully since we're talking about memory lane. So, summertime, the pompas on. The kids are playing double dutch. The number man is out there, right? You got the number guy collecting his numbers. You got the piragua man, piragua, right? And it goes on. You even got the newsy old lady at the window that knows everything that's going on in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But then emerges out of everything and catches everyone's attention is the Pastelillo Man.
With the boo cooler.
With the boo cooler. And I remember that. And when he would come out, people were frantic because he would run out of pastelillos.
Yeah.
And at that time, I used to run a barbershop on Fifth Street at Bloque de Oro. And barbers would get together. We would have a runner. And someone would run in and say, the Pastelillo Man is out there. And next thing you know, everybody's chipping in their money. Get me 2, get me 3.
Right.
And if that person comes back with no pastelillos, he's the bad guy, even though it's not his fault. He did not move fast enough to get those pastelillos.
Right.
But if he came back, you're the guy. And everybody would take a break and eat their pastelillos. So can you tell us a little bit about your father, his name, where he's from, where was he born, and just a little bit of where did he pick up his traditions, and was it carried on, was it passed on?
So my father was born in Caguas, Puerto Rico. He was raised in Santurce. His name is Roberto. And then he came to the States back in the 50s. He worked on farms. So he worked for Campbell Soups and different farm organizations. And that's how he ended up in Philly. He ended up in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. He met some Puerto Ricans out there and they lived in North Philly. And then they brought him to North Philly and that's how he made it into North Philadelphia. He worked in food industry most of his life. After the farms, he went into work to country clubs. So he worked for this one country club called Ashburn Country Club for a long time. And so he did that. That was his thing or whatever. That's where the whole outfit came from. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. He had the white shirt and the checkered pants.
Yes.
That was his outfit from work because the pastelillos was a part-time thing that my family did to make extra money on the side.
So did he pick up any of his cooking skills from his mother, father? Was anything passed down?
I think he learned cooking from my mom, basically, because my mom is really the person behind the pastelillos. My mom was the cook. She didn't want to be outside, and she just made them, and my dad was the one that went out there at first and sold the pastelillos. Eventually, they broke up, and then my father took over. But the recipe, he learned from my mother.
All right, I'm going to pause for a minute because, and this is early in the game, we call this the copy cool moment. I'm going to call that a copy cool moment because you mentioned your mother, right? A lot of times you see a hardworking man out there or a successful man, you know that saying. But behind the scenes was a strong woman, making sure that he was out there providing. And you know what? He was gaining the recognition, right, as the Pastelillo Man, but there was someone behind it. So props to your mom. Yes. That's a copy cool moment for that.
Thank you.
As your father started to pick up doing this, what inspired him to get up every morning? Did it give him, I have so many questions on that, and I'm pretty sure the viewers who know your father, who knew your father, what inspired him? Not just, I know he wanted to take care of his family, but what inspired him to get up every day? And I think this is important for our viewers, especially our young viewers, right? Because it's about purpose in life, right? As Puerto Ricans, we're so diverse and we're so full of passion. And I don't want young folks to think, why do I do this? Why did people do that? Why did he get up every day? And did he enjoy serving people?
He did. My father loved talking to people. He loved being outside. He knew everybody. Everybody was primo, familia. That's how my father embraced everybody in the neighborhood. So I think he really enjoyed just being in the community and just seeing people, enjoying the food. Because people, even till now, my daughter's dating a young man, and his mom brought up that she went to community high. And in the late 90s, my father used to go to community high and sell pastelillos in the lunchroom. So he had a whole nother, outside he had everybody that knew who he was, but then these young folks knew who he was at lunchtime. And she told me recently, she made me cry. She said my father would hold pastelillos for her because she was pregnant. And he knew, so he would save her 2 cheese dogs every day. So
awesome.
I think it's just that community, that connection to community. I think that's really what made him do that.
We're going to get back to you. I want to move on to Priscilla, but it's your turn. If not, I'm going to take your turn.
No, you're not going to take my turn. All right. There we go.
All right, and hopefully I could distract Priscilla with this right here. So Priscilla, welcome again. And when I first heard about you, even before you doing any work at the Lighthouse, I heard about your cooking, your baking, your cakes. Oh, have you tried her yet? Because I started mentioning, saying, hey, we're working on, bringing Priscilla here. Oh, that right? That expression. I'm like, okay. And I'm gonna let you know right now, I am a junk food guy. I could walk into a diner and the first thing I'm looking at is that. So, that little refrigerator with the glass, that does everything, right? So I didn't even need the refrigerator with the glass because people were able to describe how you cooked, how you baked, and how it tasted. And I was like, I cannot wait. So just a little bit about yourself. Where were you born? Where were you raised? And what inspired you to cook and bake?
So I was born and raised in Philadelphia, North Philly, but my mom, we moved around a lot. So I can't say, where, but we did move around a lot. What inspired me to bake was my son. My son got diagnosed at 2 years old with autism. And I was stay-at-home mom. I wanted to give him all his undivided attention to him. And the sound of me making icing will calm him down. So one day I decided to make cupcakes. And when I started to make the icing, I seen that he was calm. And he kind of was engaging with me and helping me. So I started to bake. And that's how Priscilla Ocakesions started.
Has anyone inspired you to bake? Anyone in your family?
I'm the only baker.
You're the only baker?
Yes.
Amazing.
A lot of cooks, but the only baker.
So can you break down the difference between cooks and bakers? Like, what do you, because I want to know, and I'm pretty sure that folks are watching this, like, okay, now you just put a whole nother category here. There's cooks and there's bakers. Can you break that down a little bit?
So in my family, there's a lot of savory. Pasteles and rice and the salty foods, but they also wanted the sweets. So they would go to bakeries and buy sweets. And I'm like, there's no way. We need a baker in the family. And then I was learning little by little, and I had that time with my son at home. So then now every party, Priscilla was taking flans and cupcakes and flancochos. And I became the baker of the family.
Is there a difference between Latino, Puerto Rican-based baking and regular baking?
Yes. Yes, ingredients are very different. I add pumpkin now to flan, which is more Americanized.
Right, go ahead.
And flancocho is a Puerto Rican dessert. So I add pumpkin, that's Americanized. And tres leches, now we do toppings like Oreo. Usually it's traditional tres leches. That's what we're used to. Dulce leche, that's another topping. So yeah, I try to add different toppings and things like that to make them different.
I heard flancocho really is a drug. Just put it out. Besides your father and your mother, what inspired you to really carry the traditions of cooking?
So growing up, I used to always be in the kitchen with my parents. not by choice at times. With the pastelillos, I was also the prep cook. So I always had my hand in food. So when I was a kid, I remember going to like the store, and if they had like cookbooks, I would read the cookbook and want to learn the recipe. So like I always had that like since I was a kid that I wanted to learn how to make stuff. So that's kind of what inspired me to go into that as I got older.
You actually worked with some of our kids that we brought to one of your kitchens, and they cooked with you. And it was something amazing, and it was magical to see our children sitting there learning about different styles of food, but also tasting it. And they were working together. No one was on their cell phones.
Right.
No one was trying to take selfies because they were full of like their apron. They had the powder, and they will just walk around. They were joking with each other. And we actually had kids in your class that didn't get along with each other, but they were working together.
Yeah.
And they were actually speaking and say, you have to try this.
That's the magic of cooking. It brings everybody together.
It's universal. How much is that now your passion? How important it is to pass those traditions down, right? Matter of fact, this is a question for both of you. Are we in danger of losing those type of traditions? Because I hear a lot of people say they don't know how to cook. Young people don't know because everybody's Uber eating at McDonald's. Everybody's Uber eating, right? You could just walk to McDonald's. That's a whole nother topic. But
they Uber eat McDonald's too.
They Uber eat McDonald's, yeah. And it's pretty much like the basic sandwich. Are we losing that tradition of cooking? And if so, what does it take to bring that back? And how do we inspire people to bring that type of style back?
So for me, that's kind of why I started Chef Ana's Kitchen. When I was working at Edison and I was working with a lot of Hispanic children, Puerto Rican, Dominican children, they didn't know a lot of the recipes anymore. And that broke my heart because I asked the kids, because I would always try to make stuff that they liked, right? And so I'd be like, okay, so who knows what arroz con leche is? And I don't know if are you familiar with arroz con leche?
Yes.
You're familiar, yes. Right? So we grew up with that. That's like comfort food for us, right? And these kids are like, what the hell is that? And I was like, what? I'm like, you've never had arroz con leche? They're like, no. So when I started digging into like, have you had this? Have you had that? And they were like clueless. That's when that became my mission at Edison, to teach the kids the recipes. So as much as growing up, I hated making those pastelillos is what opened the door to get these kids inspired, to get them in the kitchen. So I taught them how to make the dough. I taught them how to make the filling, and then the satisfaction of getting to eat them. So that's how that all came about. But I think that we are losing the recipes. I think more so like our generation, try to find the fast way to do things, and not necessarily the fast way, but life is different, right? Because for me, I'm very different than my mom. My mom, she was a stay-at-home mom. Her biggest thing of the day was what was going to be dinner for tonight, right? She was thinking about what she was making all day. I, on the other hand, and most of us, we have jobs. Cooking is the last thing that people want to do sometimes when they come home. They just want to get something quick. And I think in that, we've lost the whole going back to, just a regular meal, Back home growing up, I remember like I want McDonald's. That was like a treat. You know what I mean? It was like you got McDonald's once in a while, or they'd be like, "Oh no, eso está sucio," just to tell you not to eat there because we have food at home.
Te va a hacer daño.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed about elderly Latinos, they cannot stand fast food.
No,
they will criticize it.
They grew up a lot on,
exactly.
They grew up a lot on like home cooked meals. They didn't believe in KFC, none of that. Nosotros no vamos a comer afuera. It's a home cooked meal. And I think that now the era's changed so much. Everyone is accustomed to eat out. So those recipes, pasteles, the young kids now are not learning how to make all these recipes. So it's getting lost.
I heard you mention one time in a conversation with you about how you plan in the future to open up some type of school or some type of baking to teach not just young folks, but just people, period. Is that something that has to do with what we're talking about, saving the culture? Or?
Yes. I wanted to go to culinary school. I couldn't afford it. It was like so expensive. You could buy 2 houses. I want to open up a school also and have classes and have affordable classes for kids to be able to pursue their dream. A lot of kids can't pursue their dream because they can't afford college. They can't afford classes. I end up taking classes and I didn't have a car. I had to walk, catch SEPTA. There were no Ubers. I had to catch SEPTA to take these classes and be able to make a cake. And my motto is bake it till I make it.
Hold on.
Yes.
We have another Capicool moment right now. Can you repeat that, please?
My motto is bake it till I make it.
Bake it till she make it. I know it's not my turn.
I would say this. Did you
No,
go?
thank you for that. This is not on the cue cards, but do you listen to Spanish music while you bake and cook?
I do.
Yes.
Does that influence the taste in the food?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
How does it influence? Because that's part of the culture now. Because I noticed that even growing up and you go into any house or you go into a Spanish restaurant, there is Spanish music playing. And I'm starting to believe it has something to do with making that food taste way better. Is that true? Or can
It's the connection, I guess, to like our ancestors, right?
Yes.
Like listening to the music.
And
You know, I
dancing.
listen. Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're mixing at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to have a vibe in the kitchen. Yeah.
And it just brings that positive energy.
It does. It's just like Saturday cleaning, right? You have to have salsa music going on so you can get the
Yeah.
house clean.
If there's no music, you're not cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that back in September, we had a freestyle concert. We had hundreds of people come out. And while you and your husband were selling your cakes and desserts, I'm an observer. I notice a lot of things I'm really good on, just body language. Both of you, it wasn't really about the money. It was about passing on something that you put pride in. And I seen the smile in yourself and in your husband while you work together to put that food out there. Is there something more than just a dollar bill about giving someone something that you poured into? It's kind of like you make it with love.
Yeah. If I could bake and give all my cakes out for free, I'll do it. It's just that smile. And like, can I take a picture with you? And they enjoying it. Some of them open it right there and they're just eating it and they're just enjoying it. And that just brings me joy because I know that I want to make affordable desserts for everyone. A lot of people can't afford a lot of things. And just me making the desserts and you just enjoying it, that fills my heart.
Beautiful. I noticed that when you were working with our children, it was just this big pride. It was like you were planting seeds, right? And at the end of the day, we were driving home with all the kids in the van, and you hear them on the phone now. Mom, I cooked this and I baked that. I'm gonna try it at home. And that was it. Mm-hmm. So I have a question. I have plenty of questions, right? This is why we're here. What is a pastelillo? Can you break that down? Because we have an audience that don't know about Puerto Rican dishes, Puerto Rican traditions. What is a pastelillo and why is it so famous?
So there's a debate too, right? There's the pastelillo and the empanadilla, right? There's always that I don't know. Are you aware of that?
No.
Okay, so in the island, I know people are going to talk about it. In the island, some people call them pastelillos, some people call them empanadillas, right? I don't know the exact dynamics of that. All I know is that my father is from the north side of Puerto Rico, Santurce, where they call them pastelillos. My mom's from Jauco, they call them empanadillas. I don't care what you call them, they're delicious.
Was there an argument in the house?
The argument would be in the house between my family, but also even like now that I sell them and I call them pastelillos, people are like, oh, they're empanadillas. I'm like, look, they're delicious, just eat them. But in every culture, people have similar dishes, right? And pastelillo is one of them. So like if you want to, they're called like hand pies, right? Mm-hmm. The Polish have their hand pies. The Jamaicans have the Jamaican patties. It's the same concept. It's a dough fried with meat inside. That's what a pastelillo is. You can also do different fillings in it, but traditionally it'll be like a picadilla, which is like beef.
It's pretty interesting when you think about history. You talk about the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. When you talk about the slave trade and the Taino Indians and then the Spaniards and the mixture of all these folks.
Right.
And it's kind of like how we, correct me if I'm wrong, how we come up with a pastelillo because somehow somebody's just saying, hey, add this and add that. It sounds like it's just so many different cultures pouring into one thing, because every island has their own type of patty or pastelillo or name to that. And I'm glad that you brought that up about the two different names for the pastelillo, right? Because it shows that Puerto Ricans are still diverse, right? Even with each other, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you know, you guys do this on the north side, we do this down here on the south side, and I think that's pretty cool.
Well, here's another one that we were talking about before we started. Olla and caldero. Olla, my father would call a rice pot. My mother would call a caldero a rice pot. She would call an olla a soup pot. So growing up, I'd be like, who's asking me for it? Because then I'd be like, wait a minute, you call this that? But that's another one. That's, for whatever reason, on one side of the island, they call it one thing, on the other, the other.
And going back to the pastelillo debate, ketchup or no ketchup? Yeah.
Oh, the
The
pasteles.
pasteles.
Now-
Yeah.
Now I'm going to start some stuff. Now we're going to start some trouble here, right? Because a couple years back, I had some pasteles, right? And I had ketchup, and I had it poured all over my pasteles, right? And I posted that. I said, I usually don't speak about religion, politics. You know, religion and politics I stay away from. And they say you stay away from who puts ketchup or pique on the pasteles. And I said, I put ketchup. Let's fight. And the fighting began. And quick question: do you put ketchup or pique?
I do
It's
pique.
questions for both of you.
I do pique, but I don't judge. I don't judge. You put whatever you want on it. You want to put ketchup mayo? I don't care. That's on you. I do pique.
So there's a big debate in my house. I don't eat pasteles de guineo. I don't like green banana. I like yuca.
Oh yeah, I make those too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like pasteles de yuca with ketchup.
Okay, now is there two styles? Can you break that down? Can we explain to the folks that don't know what a pastel is? Because we're not talking about pastelillos now. There's pasteles. What is that? You know, let's talk about our audience who doesn't know, and not only just our audience, because we have a younger generation that does not know. They know what a Big Mac is.
Right.
They know what a Whopper is, but do you know what a pastel is? You know, and there's a lot of times now where even with my own children, I'm like, man, you know, they're older now, but there were times they're like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, so can we get just a breakdown of traditional patele?
So traditional pasteles are like a tamale, right? So it's green bananas, potatoes, and again, don't kill me out there because everybody has their own recipe, right? But it's root vegetables blended together, and then you wrap it up in a banana leaf and you boil it. And you have it, usually it's a big staple during the holidays, but if you go to Puerto Rico, you can have it all year long. You can go to lechoneras and eat it all year long. Now, us here in the diaspora, usually from September to January, if you're a pastelera, if you sell pasteles, that's the time that you can get them. But that's basically what it is. And like she was saying, the yuca ones, so similar, it's just they use yuca. So you take yuca root, you blend it, you make a dough out of it, you stuff it,
They're so
and
hungry
then you
right
boil
now.
it. Yeah, so am I.
Now, when you mentioned holidays, right? When we were talking about holidays, there's the bakers and there's the cooks. This is where families really stick together and coordinate. Who's baking and who's cooking? Do you get a lot of that in your families right now?
Oh, yes. Certain people have certain dishes that they bring every year.
And everybody has their skill sets.
Yes.
Somebody's good with this. Somebody's good with that dish. And everybody's name. Oh, Titi Carmen is making such and such. Oh, you know, and you can't wait. So now you have a generation that is married now and they're introducing their wife or their husband to their family. Oh, you can't wait to, my uncle makes the best, my tío makes the best coquito, right? My titi makes the best, you know, whatever it is that they're going to be cooking. So it's like folks already talking about their family traditions before they get to the house, introducing their loved one, right? Or even their children into the culture of doing that. And for me, I remember that there used to be the big table with the adults, and then there was a little table. And sometimes we would sit on the floor and eat our dish. So it was the rice, the beans, and I want to get back to the baking. What is flan and what is tres leches? Because every time I try to explain it, I do a horrible job. I'm not a good representation or how to represent that because I just like, you just got to try it. Right? I can't break it down. Yeah. But when people are like, what is tres leches, right? And you hear milk and you hear 3 milks. So some people are like, wait a minute, that doesn't even sound right. But can you break that down?
So tres leches is a dessert where it's a cake based. It could be any flavor. Traditional cake, it's more of a yellow based cake, vanilla. And you soak it in 3 different types of milks. Now, everyone makes it different. A baker doesn't tell her secrets, but it is 3 different milks. It's a sweet based milk, topped off with like a whipped cream, cinnamon, and a cherry. That's a traditional one. Now it's going beyond. Now you got Biscoff. Now you got carrot cake tres leches. Now you have dulce leche. You have strawberry. But yeah, the traditional is vanilla.
And flan. Flan is kind of like universal,
Yes.
right? You have movies and you hear the flan, right? What is flan?
Flan is like a vanilla custard made with milk, eggs, egg-based, and a sweet caramel sugar that you burn on a stove. It's a very sweet dessert, and it's diverse. Everyone has flan, but made differently also. Now we have coconut flan, we have queso flan, vanilla flan, Nutella flan, but the main one is vanilla flan and queso. In Puerto Rico, there's a lot of queso flan, and if you put some guayaba on it,
oh my God,
olvídate. You're going to be on.
I can't believe we're having this conversation. Whose turn is it?
I don't even know. Is it my turn? How many pieces do we have? Hold on. I have 5.
I have 5.
You got
It's your turn. We had a copy kumo.
Right.
We had a copy kumo. So.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So, breaking down the flan component and the Spanish desserts. Not so long ago, I went to a buffet. I won't say what buffet. It wasn't Latino based, but they so-called had flan at the dessert. And I'm just trying to figure out why I was so offended that when I tasted, I was like, oh, look at all this flan. It looked good. The presentation was good and had all the, and when I sat down, I took a bite. My kids was like, what's wrong? I was like, yo, this is horrible. This is not flan. And I was offended. I was actually mad, right? I wanted to be like, I want to ban this place. And my kids were laughing like, Dad, why are you taking it so personal? I was like, I feel disrespected because my emotions, there's a lot that goes into seeing that flan. It goes back to the music, the culture, your childhood memories. And now it was just disrespected for someone trying to take flan, and it was so bland and it does not taste good. But now, again, I'm an observer. So I'm watching the other Latino families and people come in, and I'm watching their faces. And my kids was like, look at you, Dad, just eat, just mind your business. And I'm like, no, I just want to see this. And you see them cutting the flan, and you see them go back to the table, and I'm like this, and they're like, get out, what the hell? And I'm laughing. I'm telling my kids, look, see, it's not just me. We're taking it personal. Like, don't try to replicate it or just
call it something that's not.
Right,
just call it something that is not. And that was just my little story.
It's very delicate dessert to me.
So can you break that down about how delicate is that?
It's all in the eggs. Too many people put too many eggs. So it's kind of, if you put too much eggs, it's eggy. It'll taste eggy. If you don't burn the sugar enough, you won't have that caramel-based flavor.
Y'all hear this? This is skill sets here. We talking about how you get into that. I have another food. I'm sorry, we're talking about food now. I have another question, because we're talking about the dishes, right? Acapulcas. Those are very hard to find. What I mean, not hard to find, but even when it comes to Puerto Rican restaurants, you have to be picky because not everyone has those skill sets. But I always found the best acapulcas are the ones that were made at home. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But what is an acapulca for folks who know? Because people are like, what is that? And for those that don't speak Spanish, again, we have a generation of young folks. Not only are we losing our customs as far as food, we're the language.
Yeah, totally.
So I know enough to know about the foods, what is an acapulca, and what makes it so good?
So acapulca basically is a green banana fritter. That's how I sell it, because I make acapulcas. I sell it when I do my pop-ups.
I've tasted yours.
And so that's basically what it is. So it's green bananas. Again, you make a dough, you blend it up, you stuff it. Now, it's a trick to that, and it took me a long time to learn, is that when you make that, the masa and you stuff it, there's a certain way that you have to drop it into the oil so that it stays together. In Puerto Rico, I whenever I go to the kioscos in Luquillo and stuff like that, I'm always like looking to see what they're doing, and they use leaves and stuff. We don't know, I can't grab a leaf from outside and do it here. So what I do is that I use plastic. So I'll do like plastic or not plastic, deli wax, and then drop them that way. But yeah, so basically it's a green banana fritter. It's delicious.
I know it is. I went into a supermarket once and I saw microwavable acapulcas, and I was ready to turn into a Karen, like call LNI, like that shouldn't be in the refrigerator. Who's trying to microwave acapulcas? And just the thought of that, and it can turn someone else off that never tasted acapulcas, and they're curious.
Well, that's something you have to eat fresh. Acapulca has to be, you gotta, it's like a bacalaito, right? A codfish fritter. That's another one that's traditional in Puerto Rican cuisine. It has to be straight hot, because if it sits, especially acapulca, if it sits under those lights, and that's what happens at a lot of these restaurants, is they'll cook all of them at once and then they put them under the lights and it's continuing to cook and it's drying out. You want acapulca to be nice and moist in the inside, not dried out when you eat it.
Or soggy,
yeah. Or soggy as well, yeah.
I wanted to talk about what people like to call a poor man's dish. You know, I grew up where times were just rough. I remember just eating ketchup and rice.
Yeah.
There was nothing to eat. Yeah, and a fried egg.
Fried egg, yeah.
And a lot of times I'll find myself, and I find that many other folks do the same thing with their kids, because now they have too many options. You want to eat? Well, what you cooking? What you mean, what you cooking? But I remember those days where we didn't have anything like that, and it was just rice and an egg or some ketchup in the rice. But it was even something about that still tasted good. Tostones, you know. Again, for our audience, what is a tostone? Like, you know, people say tostones. That is something is just, I could eat a bag of those all day. You know, mayo ketchup. Ketchup on again. Ketchup is pretty famous in the Puerto Rican household, right? There has to be, and you know, and we grow up with kids now that like, ew, you put ketchup on everything.
Now it's ranch.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Now it's ranch.
Yep.
What are tostones and what makes them so good? Because not everyone can make those either. It sounds easy. Like for me, I like mine thin and crispy.
Yeah, that's it.
With that salt and garlic on it. And there's something about that, you know. What is it about tostones and what is it?
So my mom, when she made the tostones, now they have like tostanera. You can just close it and it will flat it out and you fry it. We use a taza. We did a coffee mug. And that's how we, you know, used to squash them and fry them. It's fried banana, it's a green banana, and you slice them fairly, not too thin and not too thick. And then you fry them and it's tedious, because if you fry them too much, they're too hard. You can't, you know, you can't smash them. And if you smash them too early, then it's just, they break. So it's just like, it's a learning thing. But you fry them up and then you smash them and then you refry them.
So it's a double fry, basically, yeah.
Yep.
You guys are getting the goods here. I mean,
you use the taza. We used to use the tomato sauce. The latas to flatten it out with.
Okay, now I'm gonna get really deep now, right? For me, a breakfast sandwich is that planchao. It has to be that thin planchao sandwich, and those are still alive and being kept alive through tradition through the bodegas.
Yeah.
If you go to any bodega out there, any Latino, Puerto Rican bodega, that sandwich is smashed. And I remember back in the days witnessing someone put bricks on top of it. The aluminum foil, and they would actually put bricks on top of that. And there's something about that crisp with the bacon and the egg. And to me, that is skill set also, but it was just so amazing how folks will come up with something in a time where we didn't have anything, where they're using a brick, because we didn't have the George Foreman grill. Right? Now it was that brick on top of the aluminum foil to get that crisp. So what was it about those times, in your opinion, that made that type of simple food so flavorful?
Love. Yeah. Love for your family. Love in cooking, you know, that's what makes food good. Instead
of saying this is all we have, but this is all we have, but I'm gonna make it taste good for you.
Right.
So basically, in my opinion, what I'm getting out of this, the culture of Latino food, Puerto Rican food, is really based off of love.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is why it's so important to keep those traditions up, because we don't want to lose that moment, right? We don't want to lose that moment of how we making it, the process of making it. Because there was something about, for me, my grandmother, and she passed away many years ago, but she used to make corned beef and rice. I can't find that anywhere. I cannot find it anywhere the way my grandmother made it, right? Because I'm picky, because everybody has their grandmothers or their grandfathers, but my grandmother, when she put the fries in there, or the potatoes,
Sometimes corn,
and the way the corned beef was kind of almost like crisp, to the point, and then she knew I like the pegao, right? There's something, and I want to talk about that also, right? Because people are like, what are they talking about now? Pegao, right? What is pegao, right?
Yes.
And you would get in there and scrape that thing and put it in there, and when my grandma will make that thing, and I was like, this is the most beautiful, awesome thing I ever tasted.
And you probably didn't know that it was the cheapest meal. It didn't feel
Poor man's dinner.
Yeah. You didn't feel it because it was made with love.
Yeah. And I'm willing now to even pay a few dollars to get a plate like that. I did run into someone one time. I was dating a girl who kind of cooked it like that. I'm like, man, I want to break up with her, but I can't. Because this corned beef and rice, but it's just like.
Did you know my abuela?
Yeah, it didn't work out, but it's to me, it was a popular dish, and I thought it was just me. And when I run into so many people, I would love to walk into a restaurant, see the corned beef and rice on the menu.
So I'm gonna plug myself in here. Okay. So at Chef Ana's Kitchen, that's one of the plans that I plan to do with the dinners. I'm doing dinners Tuesdays and Wednesdays in South Philly, and corned beef and rice is one of the meals that's coming up on the menu. The menu is gonna change, kind of like when your abuela cooks for you, right? You go to abuela's house today, she's making this, the next day it's not the same meal. Same thing with the menu over there. So I'm trying to do traditional Puerto Rican food because I'm trying to keep our culture alive through food, right? And that's one of the dishes, because a lot of people are like, oh, I haven't had that in a long time. Or arroz con salchicha, that's another one. That's another poor man's food growing up.
Salchichon.
Oh,
yes. You don't hardly see that anymore.
Yes, this show here. Listen, arroz con salchicha. Listen, right? When you have the little pieces cut up in there, and you're trying to get the piece in there, or you ain't get enough
and that
pieces.
Was the meat.
That was the meat.
Yep.
And maybe a can of corn.
Yeah,
that was it.
A can of corn, but it was so
good.
Good. Yeah. I really appreciate this this conversation at the Domino table, because right now I'm on some emotional high, because it's bringing back so many good memories. I think we're developing a poor habit of just talking about bad memories or bad times or family issues, and people become divided, right? Or family members don't talk to each other anymore. But now, I could speak about that within my own family, right? But there's so many good things, and one of those great things were the food and how it brought us together. And I'm just so full of emotions right now because of food. Who would have thought that? Not just hungry, but I'm actually hungry for love. I'm hungry for family. Just off of this conversation, because of the food that we're talking about. Now, as a kid, I want to start off even with the bakeries, right? I don't remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember ever seeing a Puerto Rican owned bakery. I knew of Puerto Ricans working in bakeries, which made that bakery famous, like Oteries, because of the Spanish folks that worked in there. And if we did, where were they? I know we see them now, but back then growing up, I didn't see too many Puerto Rican, bakeries. Because now I love the bakeries, because now we could get our Spanish bread.
Yeah, pan sobao.
So have you seen any Spanish bakeries?
Growing up, I want to say like in the mid 90s is when the bakery on Fifth Street opened, Fifth and Cambria, Delicias. If I'm not mistaken, the original owner was Puerto Rican, because a lot of the pastries were Puerto Rican pastries that he sold. But before that, I don't remember there being a panaderia in the neighborhood. There might have been, but not that I remember.
I don't remember either. I worked at Oteries for 5 years.
Nice.
Look at that.
And I did most of the bilingual talking.
I did not know that. See,
yes,
and we
that's
brought that
awesome.
up.
Yeah. So I didn't know any of no Spanish-owned bakeries.
And shout out to Arteries for hiring so many Puerto Ricans that come into the
Yes,
neighborhood, because so many
yes.
Puerto Ricans I know work there
Definitely.
and were able to provide for their families.
And we're able to go to school and work too.
That's awesome.
And speaking of Bloque de Oro, Fish Street, before we get into Fish Street and restaurants and businesses, what is your, because I can give mine, what is your favorite memory of Fish Street growing up?
My favorite memory was walking along, following the yellow brick road.
Yes.
Skipping.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had the little round things that you sit on, you jump on
Yes.
those, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a feeling we were all going to say the same thing, because everyone I run into says the same thing. When I was a kid, I would run down that golden brick road and you would do the zigzag and you would jump on the little seats. I'm pausing for a minute because that was the place. It started to bloom. That was a place that we called home.
Yeah.
In so many ways, right? You could run into your friends walking with their moms. You'd be walking down the block holding your mom's hand, and then you see your friend from second grade and you're waving across the street, and they're doing the same thing, running through the golden trail.
Yeah.
You know, what happened? You know, sometimes there's so many different stories. In your opinion, what happened and what does it take to bring that back? And how many Puerto Rican own not just restaurants and business do you remember? Because I think that's important too. Memory is everything. Because you could tell me how many Puerto Ricans own this and that, but do you remember or did you know of any Puerto Rican owned businesses on Fish Street?
So the supermarket that was on Fish Street, we called it the supermarket. It's like a bodega, but whatever. That supermarket, when I was growing up, it was owned by Asians. But before that, I believe my parents told me the owner was called Pupo. He was Puerto Rican. He owned it. Fish Street back then in the 70s, I believe, was mostly like Cuban and Puerto Rican, but a lot of Cuban influence on Fish Street. All I remember is the Cuban spots. I remember Cardona's grocery store in the middle of Fish Street. I remember Cardona's jewelry store because they owned a few things on Fish Street. And then they also had the beer distributor. So those are my memories of Fish Street back then. And then also the legend, Jerry, right?
Jerry's
Fashion.
Yeah.
Jerry and do you guys remember his brother?
Yeah. His son, Kevin.
No, he had a brother.
No, he had a brother that owned a couple stores also.
Yeah, had a couple stores there. They had Fifth and Cambria locked down.
My mother worked at Jerry's when she was a kid. My son, Desi, his mother worked at Jerry's.
Nice.
So many people worked through Jerry's. He hired so many people from the neighborhood. And shout out to Jerry. I know he passed away, but shout out to Jerry. And matter of fact, while we're doing that also, you mentioned the grocery store that we have on 5th and Indy. It was off that corner.
Kim's Supermarket.
Yeah. And
I worked there.
And it was kind of unique because, you know, it's not really that big, but I remember as a kid, you just walking around like it was
I'm
like
at
a
the
big
supermarket.
the supermarket. And I want to mention another legend, and many of you viewers is going to catch your attention. Hopefully later on in other episodes, we could speak about them. Santos cheesesteaks.
Yes.
We had a Puerto Rican Geno's in our neighborhood. You had Geno's cheesesteaks, right? You had everybody with Steve's cheesesteaks and what was the next one? Pat's, right? Pat's cheesesteaks. But Santos was the king of cheesesteaks in that neighborhood. $3.50.
Yep.
You get your fries, you get your cheesesteak, and he had a famous saying, 50-50. Did you want your cheesesteak cut in half? That's all he made. He made nothing else. Yep. You had to figure out who was next in line. He had no system. There was no system about who was next. There was no ticket system or anything else like that. You had to figure it out on your own. Once you get your order, and he would, I don't know if you remember this, he would throw you your change.
Yeah.
He'll take the quarters and nickels and throw it, and it would scoop out, and you trying to catch your change. And everybody like, Santos, let me get a cheesesteak, salt, pepper, ketchup, fried onions. Can anyone speak on Santos a little bit?
Oh my God. We were talking about that earlier. Santos, I went to Powder Thomas. So in the morning, you would smell him prepping.
He's right across the street.
Yeah, he's right across the street.
Yeah.
And I remember being like in 4th or 5th grade. Back then, you used to be able to go home for lunch, right? You had like an hour or whatever, so you'd go home. Me and my friends, we got our money together to get a cheesesteak from Santos. So we would go across the street, get our cheesesteak, and feel like, oh, we're so cool, and then go back to recess. Those are my memories of Santos. Good times. Great cheesesteak.
My sister actually introduced me to. She was like, "We gotta go get this cheesesteak. It's cheap, Priscilla. It's cheap." I said, "Oh, it's cheap. I'm there. Let's go." You know. But that cheesesteak you had to eat right there.
Yep.
There was no waiting.
Yeah.
That smell of fried onions and I don't know all those seasonings, and you went by, you had to stop.
And there was something about his French fries. He
I was just
he would
gonna
take
say
that
that.
box where you get the Chinese rice in.
Yep.
Yep.
He would have that box and fill that thing up, and then he would put the ketchup,
Yes.
ketchup again from here, and he was singing. He wouldn't really play music, but he would sing all day. He was singing something, but he was always and he
His
would,
music.
yeah, and he would sing, and it was something about folks that will wait. They were not impatient. People will wait
It was worth waiting.
for Santos to get a cheesesteak, and he was Puerto Rican owned.
Yeah.
He was the owner there, but he was the only worker. He did not hire nobody. He didn't hire any helps. No one else worked. He did the cashier. He did the cooking. He did the orders. He did everything by himself right there. Because I used to wonder that as a kid. I was like, this dude never hired anyone.
Yeah.
He would clean up. He would, prep. Everything was done by himself.
And he lived next door.
Yeah, he lived in the building. He
Mhm.
lived in the building. Shout out to Santos. He passed away a few years ago, and his family, and hopefully we could do something more on Santos. But I know that bringing up Santos is going to bring up so many memories for the viewers that are watching that. On this topic also, you both are doing your own thing. Merging out, not just to be influencers, entrepreneurs, but you're passing on the tradition and you're keeping it alive. This holiday coming up, whether it be any specials going on, because I need to know first before this airs. I need to know, what are your specials? Where can we find you? How can we order? Right? And will there be any specials, and what do you recommend?
So one of my specials is I'm going to start doing a pasteles party. So pasteles party is I'll come to you, no more than 10 people, and we'll make pasteles together. So I'll do a demonstration. I'll talk about the history of
I'm
pasteles.
sorry, a pasteles party.
Yes.
How many capicús do we have?
Number
This is another capicú moment. We're having a pasteles party. Edwin Desmo better get invited to this pasteles party. Whoever has a party, I want in. So you get 9 people. I'm the 10th person. But that is a capicú moment for a pasteles party.
You're bringing the ketchup.
There you go.
I'm bringing the ketchup, and also I'm getting rid of my dominoes while we're playing. So I want you to finish. I want you to finish that.
So that, and again, the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm trying to keep the culture alive, right? And the traditions. And being in the culinary industry, I work with people from different fields and different nationalities. And there's a lot of kids that are, either they're Puerto Rican or they're mixed, but they don't speak Spanish, which is fine. But that's like the first thing that they tell me. They're like, "Oh, I'm Puerto Rican, but I don't speak Spanish." I'm like, "It's cool. That doesn't change anything." But a lot of them are like, I never learned how to do this, or I want to learn how to make that. So that's kind of like where that idea came from. Because I'm like, okay, well, let me bring you everything, and then we can just do it all together. But the idea is to keep the tradition alive, right? So that. And then I'm starting with the pasteles party, but then there's other things that I want to do. So like, if people want to learn how to make acapurrias, we could do an acapurria class where I come to you and we can do the class together. Again, I'm an educator. I'm an educator and a chef, so I
How
like
can they
to
reach
make
out
both.
to you? How can folks find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Chef Ana's Kitchen. I check my inbox constantly, or you can reach me at chefannaskitchen1@gmail.com.
This is amazing. I think going back to culture almost being extinct, right?
Mhm.
My mother, I grew up in the Puerto Rican culture. My mother's Puerto Rican. My father's from Haiti. So I remember my grandmother from my father's side when I would go over to the home. And the Haitian food, oh man, you're talking about spicy.
Mhm.
But you were loving. You sitting there eating the Haitian rice, the way they cooked it, and everything is tearing your eyes, your nose, everything, and you just eating that, right? And it was just so good when I'm there. So I had like the best of both worlds. And then I'm home, with my mom's family, and I'm getting the Puerto Rican rice and tostones. It was 2 elements. And then my grandmother from my father's side passes away. And it's like, I can't find that anymore. So only time I have to, when I'm traveling and I got to look for a restaurant to find it, you know. And I thought about that, like, not saying that the tradition is dying there, but for me, it kind of almost disappeared. It went extinct because I just can't go to grandma's house to get it, right? Because I don't see anyone else cooking it. You know, restaurants are good, but it's something about home cooked meals. So just big props to you. I think it's awesome to the Pasteles party. I recommend it. I'm gonna actually, I want to do a staff retreat, and part of that staff retreat, I would love to do a Pastele party and get all our staff together to do that. So we'll be reaching out for that. So Priscilla, what are you and your husband going to be up to for the holidays? What is the specials? How can folks find you, and how can they order? And I know you're not going to come up with all the specials right now, but I know you have something.
Oh, we have a lot to offer. So I want to start with, we're going to have pumpkin, flancocho, coconut flans.
Pumpkin flancocho.
Yes. So it's flancocho. Many don't know what flancocho is. Flancocho is flan on top, cake on the bottom.
Yeah, it's a drug.
Both of the best worlds.
It's a drug.
You know? And you still got that sweet caramel on top. But we will be offering ordering. You can order through my DM on Instagram. You can order through my Gmail, PriscillaOcakesions@gmail.com. I also have Facebook, Priscilla Ocakesions, same as Instagram. We'll be doing Flancocho Friday at the Lighthouse. And I'm also going to be giving away one dessert to a family for Thanksgiving Day.
What is it like to be serving side by side with your husband in this work? What is that? I know he's here, not to put him on the spot, because he's listening, right? He wants to know. No, but I to me, you know, I watch Eric and Abigail, you know, Somos Society, their passion and what they're trying to preserve in tradition, and watch them both together, and I become a fan. They're friends. Safe to say, you know, they're friends, not just colleagues. They're both very good friends. But also, I've become a fan of both of them, not just in the work that they do, but as a couple who got together and say, let's make this happen. What better partner to have than your partner?
None. I started Priscilla Ocakesions alone while he was on the road. He's a truck driver, taking care of our son that had autism. And I was just baking, and I said, I want to go to school. And we went to a school, and it was just too expensive for us, you know? 2 young parents. We have a home, we have a child. I mean, was there time for me to go to school? No. I had a friend that she loved her to death. I was her last customer that kind of took the classes with her, and she moved away. She said, Priscilla, if I knew that you are so dedicated, I would not have moved to Florida. We would have opened the bakery together. But she already had those plans to move. And my husband seen the passion. He said, babe, whatever I have to do, if I have to work long hours, I'm going to pay for you to get more classes and for you to learn more. And that's what we did. Little by little, we end up doing it together. And he seen the passion, and he started to roll out fondant. And it was just, it brought us together more. It did.
I see him.
Yeah.
You guys setting up out here. I see him behind you, and you can see the pride in his face. And the reason, I know we're talking about food, but the reason I want to bring that up is, that we can't forget family. Family is very important. And a lot of things that I was still missing as a kid growing up are certain things that we could still teach. And I just want to put something out there to the young men. There's nothing wrong with family. There's nothing wrong with supporting. Because I know it's vice versa. Everybody's talking about, oh, you need a good woman. But the women today need a good man.
Yeah. And you can say you're independent and all that stuff, but you need that person.
What is the favorite dish you send him with when he's on the road?
White rice, beans, and fried chuletas. Fried pork chop.
He doesn't even have to ask.
Listen, that's Mobby, ear to ear. That's his favorite meal.
I want to thank both of you for taking time out to make us all hungry. but also talking about tradition and the importance of this tradition, because it's not just about food. It's not just about, trying to get sales. It's about bringing love back to our community, and it brings people together. There's a saying that one of the worst diseases that are out here is loneliness. People are alone. And when you sit down at the table to eat, you're not alone. You have someone sitting there. They say sometimes the best conversations happen while you're driving, especially for men, because they don't have to look at each other. But it also happens at the table because people sit down and eat and they're able to talk without feeling uncomfortable. And I'm hoping that this episode will encourage people to sit at the table. I challenge folks to, take your pictures for Thanksgiving, take your pictures, get your selfies in, but then set some time out to put it to the side. Talk about the food, talk about the flavor, because there's more to it than the picture or the post. Take advantage of those moments, but put it down and conversate. Taste the food. I love food. I'm the worst person to tell anybody to follow my diet. If anybody sees some of my posts, I'm always eating somewhere. I am eating somewhere, and I'm going to give props when I taste good food. So I will give you both the props, and it's an honor to honor your father.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
To really honor your father. So many people that are viewing this know who your father is. Your father has brought joy to so many people on a stressful work day and in that neighborhood. Going back again to the fire pump, the double Dutch, the hopscotch, the music playing. There was something about Puerto Ricans. They put the speakers outside the window, but they're in the house.
Yeah.
We forgot one main thing too. The limbes.
Oh my God.
The limbes. What happened to the limbes?
Limbes were just, you know what? I'm sorry. We're going to have to add this in here, right? Limbes, right? And this is me talking about this. I'm just giving my take on the limbes. I'm not trying to hear that you got to go to a store, push that thing over to get a limbe. The best limbes, you go, there's a cardboard on someone's window.
Yep.
And the limbes are like 25 cents, 50 cents. And then they tell you all the flavors. It's a cardboard. The cardboard wasn't even cut out neat.
Nope.
It was just ripped around and it was taped to the window, right?
Yes.
And if it looks like that, that's the best being limbes, right? And then you will knock on the door. And, we're still evolving with customer service.
Yeah.
So it was like you knock too hard, whatever the heck you get for it. You get through limbes. Come back as no thank you for coming, but you was just like, thank you. Yes. And you walking with your limbes, and you know what? You take an order, and I'm guilty of this, right? So your mom or somebody like, go get a couple of limbes, and I done licked everybody's stuff. Because I have my own flavor. I'm like, hey, you come on.
Get that one this time.
Right. What that tastes like?
You giving everybody like, okay. They was like, did you lick this? I'm like, no. You done tried everybody's limbe, but what is your memory on limbes?
Behind my house, there used to be a neighbor that used to sell limbes, and she had every flavor under the sun. And so we always go back down Orkney Street and go get limbes from back there. That's like, it was a highlight for us during the summertime.
Now I know the house.
Mm-hmm. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know that house.
They took their lot. They used to have the lot? Yeah.
What about you?
I want to ask you guys a question.
Okay.
How do you eat your limbe? Do you push it up or do you turn it around?
It's funny you say that because I did limbes this summer at a pop-up that I did. And this American family, they never had a limbe. They didn't know what it was. And the kid was confused. They were like, I need a spoon. I was like, no, you don't need a spoon. I was like, you want me to show you how to do it? And he's like, yeah. So I did that. I popped it. I flipped it. I was like, now you got to suck it.
Yeah.
Now, this is how strange I am. I don't know if I have some type of weird disorder. Mm-hmm. So you know how you have some candies, you got to suck the candy, whatever?
Uh-huh.
I eat my limbe.
Uh-huh.
I start biting into it. I just chewing down on it and not giving it a break. So what is the difference between a limbe and a piragua?
So limbe is frozen. Usually it's like frozen juice or like with the coconut one. It's like coconut milk or whatever and condensed milk and stuff, and it's frozen. The piragua is shaved ice with the syrup.
And there's something about that. Again, that guy pushing that cart.
With the bell.
with the bell and a big block of ice with a dirty rag on top of it.
And that rag would be on his head at some point too, if it was too hot.
So that rag is on top of there,
Yeah.
and then you come along and he's
It
get
was
this
just the sound.
scraping
that
that
sound.
thing. So that was just I'm in my memory lane right now with the piragua, and since we're on that coquito, I almost forgot coquito. Now at the Lighthouse, we're about to have our 4th annual Coquito Fest coming up. We're very proud of that because we know the struggle of families trying to sell the coquito, and it's a hustle. It's like the underground world. When you're trying to buy stuff in the underground, well, who got good coquito? And someone's like, yo, I got the hookup. This lady down here has it. Well, get me 3 of them, get me 2. And I thought about that. And I thought about folks not just putting out good coquito, but trying to sell so they could, because the holidays get expensive. So why not provide a space for all those folks to sell their coquito, but not just showcase their coquito, sell it and make some funds off of that. And we also have judges that come in, and we have this, and we named that after Johnny Rizzari, one of my mentors, and it's called the Johnny Rizzari Coquito Fest. And folks will win a big trophy, looks like a Super Bowl type of trophy. And believe it or not, the last one we just had, a young lady won.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that. That's
Dana
awesome.
won, and she's young. She's in her mid-20s, so you're up against the old heads.
She had that family recipe.
You're up against the old heads, but the judges we had were old heads. You know, Angel Ortiz was one of our judges, Stephanie Tavares. We had so many different folks that come on in there that were tasting the coquito. But we have folks from all over, every race, ethnicity you could think about coming in and trying to figure out, what is that, eggnog? Or what? I like the stuff. And they call it all types of stuff. But they were tasting and going around, and people were leaving saying, man, they brought all my stuff. So we were able to put it in a place where people know where to get your coquito at. So we will be doing our 4th annual Coquito Fest to really promote the culture, the tradition, and have some fun. Because you know what? When that young lady won, her competitors all clapped and said, congratulations, because everybody left the winner. The contestants left the winner. The culture left as a winner. And it was about preserving that, the key to that, because people now that never knew about coquito, they know about it now. So, real quick for folks, what is the difference between eggnog and coquito? Because people get that confused and people take that personal too. Like, you know, let me get some of that eggnog, and you get that face from a Puerto Rican, like, what did you just call that?
I feel like, because some Puerto Ricans call it, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's the Puerto Rican eggnog, and it's not. I think we just say that because it's easier to, well, also because some things people don't know how to translate. So it's like easier, more comfortable for people. Oh, you know what eggnog is? Yeah, it's similar to that. It's coconut. But I've never personally made eggnog. I've bought eggnog. I don't really care for eggnog personally, but coquito, traditional coquito, you know, evaporated milk, coconut cream. I remember growing up, my parents would make their own coconut milk. They sit there and grate it, and then with a cheesecloth, and then primilo and stuff like that. So all that deliciousness with some really good rum. That's the secret to coquito, is the rum.
Well, now that's the only time we were allowed to taste liquor
kids.
As kids, man. I don't want to get parents in trouble, but that was the only
coquito
time.
and pina colada. Whenever there's pina colada, I'd be like, oh, can I taste? Yeah, good.
Now, is coquito without the liquor or with the rum? Maybe that's a question for the viewers.
Yeah.
Is coquito with the rum or without the rum? Because as a kid, I thought I was, just with a sip, I'm drunk.
You thought you were drinking?
I think mainly more
I taste the liquor.
when you say coquito is with the liquor.
I would say so, yeah. I would think so. But on to that, when I was working at Edison, again, always trying to represent Puerto Rican culture, we used to do, I worked for the CTE department, so culinary through education. And we used to have a fair out at the school district. So whenever we went, we would make coquito, but we make virgin coquito. Obviously, you know, it's a school district. So a lot of people that weren't Puerto Rican would be like, oh my God, you guys have the best creamer, because that's what they use it for, creamer, and they make it with coffee. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But yeah, traditional to me, coquito is alcohol. It's always going to have rum in it.
And going back to the Coquito Festival here at the Lighthouse, first locations will be there. Shop 103, and we'll have Coquito Tres Leches.
Ooh, I'll be here.
Sin alcohol, no alcohol, but we'll have a sweet coconut tres leches.
You know what? So I'm just going back and I'm looking at this domino table and it has the map and you have all the townships and everything and just looking at speaking about the culture and the food, how rich the culture is, right? How rich our folks are, right? And our young folks that are watching us need to know that because there's so much negativity put out there and we come from so much. And when I keep thinking about it, I'm flashbacking right now, just thinking about the neighborhood I grew up in because you had the Pastelillo Man, right? You had the canepas, right? Somebody's out there with the canepas, and you had the whole the bag of canepas, and you sitting there, you know, trying not to choke on it, right? Yeah, with the whole branch, and you biting that open. And then I even remember someone was walking around selling pulpo.
Yeah.
In the cups.
My brother-in-law. It might have been my brother-in-law. He used to sell in the back of his truck.
Yeah, back of the truck.
Eddie, that was my brother-in-law.
Look at that. They'd be walking around and sometimes someone would be either a truck or a station wagon with it and you get your cup and you sitting there eating pulpo salad and just so much when I think about it, those such good memories where it was so diverse. But if you think about it now and something that we've been trying to do, we were actually part of our own ecosystem. We were boosting our own economy.
Yeah.
We were taking care of each other. Yeah. You know, he sold canepas, he sold the pulpo salad, he sold the pastel. People were buying within. Yeah. How can we get back to that? And it's one of the things we've been trying to do at the Lighthouse with our shop owners, bringing our folks back. They're here. We never left. Right. The tradition still exists. Right. So it's not just with the baking, it's not just with anything else. We have folks that sell cigars, you know, candles, you know, you name it, we're bringing it here. But it's about supporting each other. Let's get back to that. There's nothing new under the sun here. There's nothing new under the sun what we're trying at the Lighthouse. But now that I think about it, everyone was able to take care of each other because someone was supporting. You know, let me get some canepas and I'm gonna sell it. And it was brought in the community. You know, the pasteles, man, oh my God. You know, that's like a drug too. It's like, who got pasteles? You know, and they come frozen looking like, you know, they come in with bricks.
Wait,
you know?
how about pitorro?
Oh.
Pitorro, that was like, you had to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody to be able to get that pitorro.
Yeah. And the more you know somebody, the more they whisper.
Yeah. Who told you?
yeah. Who told you I had it?
Yeah.
What is your name? And I'm related to Carmen. Oh, okay, exactly. Carmen. Just named Carmen.
Exactly.
That's the code name. This is good, man. I really love this discussion. Is there any other food or drinks that we're missing before we end the show?
As far as traditional, we didn't talk about arroz con gandules. I think that's like a staple, right?
Yeah.
For a holiday, for Thanksgiving, right? Because it's like the same, right? You can't have pernil with white rice, right? What goes with pernil? Same thing for Thanksgiving. Puerto Ricans, we always have to have our arroz con gandule, our potato salad, our mac salad. Now we've incorporated, because we're in the diaspora, sometimes we mix things now more, right? So like in my house, we'll have mac and cheese, we'll have collard greens aside with everything else because of the tradition. But traditionally in Puerto Rican, arroz con gandules is like it.
You got to have that rice.
You have to,
You have to have. That's mandatory.
Yes,
absolutely.
That's mandatory for any meeting, office meeting in our community, any holiday gathering. Like, who's bringing the rice and beans? And there's always, once you taste it, yo, who made the rice and beans? Like, who made that?
And in the family too, there's always that one person that makes. Is so and so making the rice? Oh, okay, then I'm gonna eat it.
In my family, we go strong on that.
I'm gonna say something that's very controversial, right? Very controversial, right? Well, I think so. To me, it is, right? The best food that's out there in the restaurant, I'm talking about in the restaurants, the best food, the best restaurants have the worst customer service. Challenge me on that. Put your comments on that. You know, and I try to explain to folks, like, you know, when they go there, like, I went and people were just looking at me like I was bothering them. And it's because folks are like, okay, what is that? If you're not familiar, what is this? And, you know, and you got elderly Puerto Ricans like, come on, man, like, you know, hurry up and pick. But they don't mean any harm. But I will say the best food comes from the places with the worst customer service. And I've been trying to work with people on it, right? But it's just, I'm just being honest about it. I know it's controversial, but hey, correct me if I'm wrong, right? But when you go in and the food is so good, and you're gonna keep coming back. Because there's places you give me poor customer service for anything, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
But you know your food is so good, it's an unhealthy relationship. It's an unhealthy way because I keep coming back to you,
Right.
and it's like you again, right? And I'm like, let me get this pastelillo, let me get that, and let me get a quarter of rice, and everyone's on their way. But it's kind of like we need to improve on that if we're going to expand. And I'm just, I joked around about it, but we really do, and we're going to acknowledge our greatness, but I like to talk about some of our flaws, and correct me if I'm wrong, but some of it is like, how do we get together and even help out some of our elders that got restaurants? Because they mean well. They mean well. They do love on people. They would take the shirt off their back. And then sometimes it's just culturally, if people are not understanding, like, this is way we've been serving all our life, and we've been good. And, I'm tired. I've been up since 3 a.m. baking and cooking. And now you coming in here giving me a hard time asking me if that got pork in it.
Yeah.
Because now you got all these diets, right? You got, I can't eat gluten. I can't eat pork. I can't eat that. And then you hear, no come na.
Yeah.
Go down the block to get something. But the best restaurants are awesome when you get in there. They're not as fancy. I went to Puerto Rico one time, and there was this one little mom and pop type of spot. It looked like a shed. Almost looked like this in here. Like the best restaurants. And I went in there, and again, it's like that first taste of something you can never get again. So I was down there, that time I was down there for about 2 weeks. But I remember eating there probably like almost every day. The way they cooked their breaded steak. The breaded steak was so thin, and how they crisped it out. I was just hooked again with ketchup. And I would go back. But then when I got back to Philadelphia, I went to a Spanish restaurant, Puerto Rican restaurant. Couldn't get it. I went to another restaurant. I couldn't get it. And I've been chasing that for years.
Right.
That style. That style. So anytime if I go back to Puerto Rico, I'm looking for that restaurant because you could just cut it and get that little piece into your mouth, and you're like, that was so well. And friend of mine, African-American, just went to Puerto Rico, and he stood at a resort. I believe it was I don't want to name the resort, but he stood at a resort. And what he found interesting at the resort, because he didn't get a chance to get out, there's no money, right? You get some type of card because they don't want nobody taking any money. But he said they were hyping up, like there was like a Japanese restaurant, and there was another, they were hyping up all these other restaurants from around the world. And he says, hey, Ed, the best restaurant wasn't advertised in the hotel. And it was this little old Spanish lady, he was saying, with her husband and a couple of folks in there. And it was just a little small space they had, but they had a line. So you had all these restaurants that were invested, looking fancy and everything else. And he asked the question, why are you not advertised to us like everyone else? And she was like, well, we're renters. So now you're starting to feel like that's your home, but it's not your home. And you got to be in your place. And that was pretty interesting. But you couldn't put her in her place because she didn't need the backing and the financial backing of the advertisement that they were getting. Because once someone got a taste of that food, that word spread out through that whole resort. And he said everybody was there. And that's the power of Puerto Rican food. And let's finish this game. We're going to keep playing, but thank you for watching another episode of Domino Dialogues, an extension of Somos Society. I think I won anyway, right?
You wish.